Okay, I'm sorry to have turned off the microphone for a few minutes, but now we're ready to start. We had one person sent their homework answering the question, how would the world be different if people got a new realization of the nature and pervasiveness of creativity and life and thought? And Alessandro read the answer to me, and it was very good, very thought-provoking. And we were hoping to print it so that I could read it to the other students. But unfortunately, the printer isn't working, so I can't read it to you. But I jotted down just a little note at the beginning of it when I was listening to Alessandro. And the first point the student made was that if everybody gained a new realization of the nature of creativity and pervasiveness of creativity in human life, they would begin to ask better questions. And better questions are really very good teachers and would lead people toward more truth. So that would be one good result. But he said many other things, and I'm sorry I can't read them to you because the printer's broken. But that was a very thoughtful and well-written response. So thank you. Also, we have another question. The question is, when do we use make and when do we use do? And as a native speaker, I intuitively know which one to use. But for a second language student, it may seem random. You almost have to memorize cases. But there is one general rule that does not cover all cases, but generally, we use make in cases where we are describing an action that produces something. So I will make a list. I will make a cake. And we use do in cases of action which does not lead to specific production. So I do my job. Or I do my studies. So if there is not a specific thing being produced, we would be more likely to use the verb to do. Whereas if we are producing something, we have made that thing. So that's a generalization. It does not cover all examples. To a certain extent, you have to listen, and when you hear someone use one or the other, keep note of the context and more or less memorize it. So I hope that helps you. Okay, also, before we go to the book, I want to say that Silvio has put the application for studying in my home up on the website. So if you want to come in January, February, or March of 2011, then please get an application and fill it out and send it to Silvio with $10, and he will send it to me, and we will choose 5 people to invite. I have already received a couple of emails of people asking to come before they got the application. So do not delay. Go immediately soon if you want to come this year. We will be inviting people soon. Okay? So there is a link on the chat board, and also it is on the website. So I hope you will come and study here. Okay, let us get to our work with the book. Last week we finished with page 44, and I will read the last paragraph on page 44, which we studied last week, and then I will move into this week's work. Last week we studied this paragraph, page 44. The nature of livingness in human life is manifest in language. Manifest to those whose thought about language is inseparably thought about literary creation. They can't but realize, more than notionally, that a language is more than a means of expression. It is the heuristic conquest won out of representative experience, the upshot or precipitate of immemorial human living, and embodies values, distinctions, identifications, conclusions, promptings, cartographical hints, and tested potentialities. It exemplifies the truth that life is growth, and growth change, and the condition of these is continuity. It takes the individual being, the particularizing actuality of life, back to the dawn of human consciousness and beyond, and does this in fostering the Ahnung in him of what is not yet, the as yet unrealized, the achieved discovery of which demands creative effort. Blake was speaking out of the identity when he said, "Though I call them mine, I know they are not mine." He was referring to his paintings and designs, but he would have said the same of his poems. One's criterion for calling an artist major is whether his work prompts us to say it emphatically and with the profoundest conviction for him, to put the words in his mouth, and impute to him that rare modesty which makes the claim that is genuinely a disclaimer. Okay, we shall continue. If you have any questions about anything in that last paragraph, any construction you don't understand, anything at all, please send it in on the chat board or on email, and I will move on. The bearing of this point on my theme comes out in the answer made by Lawrence near his end to the visiting young novelist who asked him what was the drive behind his creative work